My name is Raka. I was born and raised in a small village in central Java. A village where, in the daytime, all you hear is the sound of chickens, the occasional passing motorcycle, and women chatting on their porches. At night, it's even quieter. By 9 o'clock, almost all the lights are out. Life here is calm, safe, but honestly, boring. Nothing really changes from year to year, except for one thing. Once a year, something we never invite always comes to this village. That night was Jumat. Since the afternoon, the village atmosphere had felt off. The wind blew softly but cold. Even though it wasn't the rainy season, the sky was overcast and low, gray in color, as if pressing down on anyone who looked up. Birds returned home earlier than usual. Even the crickets, which are usually noisy, seemed scarce that night. I was sitting in the living room, lying down while playing on my phone. Dad hadn't come home from the rice fields yet. Mom was busy in the kitchen. The TV was on, but the volume was low. Suddenly, the lights in our house flickered once. Not enough to go out, but enough to make me look over at them. Why's the power acting up, Mom? I asked. Mom didn't answer right away. She came out of the kitchen, her face looking serious. She glanced out the window toward the rice fields behind our house. I followed her gaze. At first, I didn't see anything. That empty field was dark as usual, but a few seconds later, one light turned on, then another and another. Small colored lights, red, yellow, green, blue, lit up one after another. Bright, bustling, unnatural. I stood up right away and walked to the window. From a distance, I could see shapes that were very familiar. Small Ferris wheels, carousels, food stalls with striped tarpaulins. Everything appeared out of nowhere, as if it had been there since the afternoon and just turned on now. Huh, there's a night market, I murmured. What confused me wasn't just its sudden appearance. It was the villagers' reaction. No shouting. No one came out of their houses looking surprised. No one was recording with their phones. No kids jumping with excitement. Instead, all the houses looked closed up, doors locked, window curtains drawn. Mom walked quickly to the front door and shut it tight. Her voice was a little loud as she locked it. After that, she stood there for a moment, as if making sure the door was really locked. The night market is here again, she said softly, almost whispering. I turned to her and smiled a little. It's just a night market. Mom, why are you so tense? When I was little, we barely even had night markets. Mom didn't smile back. Instead, she stared at me for a long time. Her gaze made me uncomfortable. There was fear in her eyes, but also something like resignation. If you care about your life, she said softly but firmly, don't go there. Those words made the hair on my neck stand up a little, but my curiosity was far stronger than my fear. Exactly because it was forbidden, my head immediately filled with questions. Why? What's wrong with that night market? Why do the villagers already know? Why isn't anyone surprised? I nodded a little, pretending to obey. Okay, Mom. Mom went back to the kitchen, but her steps looked restless. I sat down again, but my eyes couldn't leave the window. The night market lights seemed to spin slowly, as if calling out from far away. I could faintly hear the typical night market music. Music that should have been cheerful, but for some reason sounded faint and heavy, like it was coming from a very far place. I took my phone and opened my chat. Dimas, my friend since junior high, lived just 2 alleys away from me. Dim. You see the night market. I typed. It didn't take a minute for his reply to come. Yeah. Crazy. So sudden. Let's go there. I smiled. Without thinking twice, I typed back. Let's go at 9. Around 9 o'clock, I told Mom I was going to Dimas's house. She looked at me suspiciously, but didn't ask much. Maybe she already knew where I was going. Before I left, she grabbed my arm. Raka, she said quietly, don't come home too late. I nodded and pulled my arm away. When the door closed, for some reason my chest felt a little heavy. I met Dimas at the end of the alley. His face looked excited, but his eyes also showed curiosity mixed with fear. We walked together down the small road toward the field. The closer we got, the clearer the music became. But it still sounded strange, like broken music, off-key, sometimes slowing down on its own. The moment we crossed the field's edge, the atmosphere changed right away. Bright lights, people walking around, the sound of children laughing, the whir of rides, bustling. But for some reason, it felt empty, like being in a place that wasn't really alive. The air there felt colder. I pulled my jacket tighter. Dimas also rubbed his arms. Do you feel that? Hey, whispered. So cold? Even though it's crowded, I nodded. I looked around. A lot of people were walking, but their steps were slow, almost like they were being dragged. Their faces were blank. No one was really laughing freely. Even the kids on the carousel weren't shouting with joy. They just sat silently, staring straight ahead. The vendors stood behind their stalls. All of them were smiling, but the same smile, wide, stiff. Their eyes didn't smile with it. Their gazes were empty, as if looking right through the back of our heads. I stopped at a toy stall. There were cloth dolls, toy cars, and old water guns. The seller was an old man. His skin was pale and gray, like he was sick. His hair was thin and completely white, but his smile was very wide. Too wide for a face that old. Want to buy something, son? He asked politely. I nodded without thinking. When he handed a toy to my hand, my finger accidentally touched his. I flinched immediately. His hand was cold, so cold. Though not cold from the night wind, more like holding ice that had been in the freezer for a long time. I pulled my hand back quickly. My heart beat faster. Dimas came closer and whispered in my ear, his voice shaking. Rack. My phone's clock stopped. I pulled out my own phone right away. The screen lit up. The time showed 0 o'clock, not moving. No date, no signal. I swallowed hard. Around us, the night market music kept playing, but now it sounded farther away, as if we were standing in the middle of a crowd that didn't really exist. And for some reason, that bad feeling grew stronger, like something had been watching us this whole time, waiting for us to realize that we never should have come to this place. We kept walking through the night market. Our steps were slow, not because we were tired, but because a strange feeling was holding our feet back. The closer we got to the center, the more surreal the atmosphere became. The colorful lights were still on, but their glow was dim, as if covered by a thin fog. The night market smell that should have been a mix of sugarcane, roasted corn, and fried snacks was strange here. More like the smell of damp earth that hadn't seen the sun in a long time. I started to look at the vendors one by one. All of them wore old-fashioned clothes. Some had on tattered shirts with big buttons. Others wore vintage kabaya, and some wore white cocoa shirts that had turned yellow with age. Not one of them wore modern clothes. No t-shirts, no jackets, no jeans, as if they came from a different time. Dimas pulled my arm gently. Brack, do you realize something? Realize? What? I replied, my eyes still scanning the area. The money, he said quietly. I only noticed when a customer bought something in front of us. The person handed the vendor something. Not paper money, not rupiah coins either. It was round, pitch black, like burnt iron coins. No numbers, no images. The vendor took it with a wide smile, then put it in an old wooden box. "Let's not buy anything yet," Dimas whispered. I nodded, but suddenly felt thirsty. My throat was dry, even though the air was cold. My eyes were drawn to a drink cart. On top were glass bottles filled with clear, pale pink, and light green liquids. The cart looked old. Its wheels squeaked softly, even though no one was pushing it. The seller was a woman. Her hair was neatly tied up, wearing an old brown kabaya. Her face was calm, too calm. She smiled when she saw me approaching. "Want a drink, son?" she asked, softly. I nodded. "Yes, ma'am. How much is this one?" She didn't name a price. She just picked up a bottle and handed it to me. I automatically reached into my pocket. But before I could ask again, she said quietly, "Don't drink it until you leave the market." I stopped, stared at her face. "What happens if I drink it here, ma'am?" I asked, half joking to hide my nervousness. Her smile disappeared immediately, not slowly, like it was pulled away forcefully. Her face went blank. Her eyes stared straight ahead, not really seeing me. "Don't ask about the rules," she replied quietly, her voice flat. My hand shook as I took the bottle. It was cold, colder than the night air. I stepped back slowly and returned to Dimas's side. "Rack, why did you buy that?" Dimas whispered in a panic. "I'm thirsty," I admitted, even though now that thirst had turned to nausea. We walked on. I noticed something else that had felt off this whole time. Not one person was eating. There were lots of food stalls, meatballs, satay, fried rice, snacks, smoked rows. Their scents tempting, but no one was actually putting food in their mouths. People just stood or sat on benches, holding plates, staring into nothing. "Dim," I said quietly. "Do you see that? No one's eating." Dimas nodded, his face pale. "Yeah, I've been noticing that too." We stopped in front of a food stall. The seller was a middle-aged man. His face looked familiar for some reason. Behind him, several black and white photos were hanging. At first, I thought they were family photos, but when I looked closer, my heart started beating fast. The photos showed the exact same face as the seller, same hair, same eyes, even the same wrinkles on his cheeks. The difference was, in the photos, his expression was stiff, like an old ID photo. Under one of the photos was a date, 1987. "That's impossible," he murmured. Dimas tapped my shoulder with a shaking hand. "Rack." His voice was almost breaking. "All the photos here, they're of dead people." I looked around quickly. The stall next door had photos too. The one across from us did too. All black and white. All of the vendors who were standing in front of us. The years were different. Some 1974, some 1992, even one from 1961. My legs felt weak. It was like the world was spinning slowly. Suddenly, the night market music stopped. Abruptly, like a tape had been ripped out, the flickering lights started to dim. Their colors faded to a pale yellow. People stopped moving. The sound of footsteps died. The ride motors went silent. Everything was quiet, too quiet. From an old loudspeaker in the middle of the field, a hoarse voice echoed. It sounded like an old person who hadn't drunk water in a long time. "The market will close soon." I shivered from head to toe. "Visitors who haven't finished." The voice paused for a moment, as if on purpose, "will become new vendors." I looked at Dimas. His eyes were wide, his breathing was fast. Around us, one by one, people turned. Their movements were unnatural. Their necks twisted slowly, stiffly, until their faces were facing us. Empty stares, the same wide smile. My chest felt tight. My hand automatically gripped the drink bottle tighter. "Rack," Demas whispered, almost crying. "We have to go now." I nodded. But when I tried to take a step, my feet felt heavy. Like they were stuck to the ground. I looked down. The earth under my feet was dark and damp, like thin mood. The loudspeaker voice sounded again. "Closer now. Time is running out." The lights above us flickered rapidly. I saw some vendors start to move slowly toward us. Their smiles grew wider. Their eyes were empty, but full of purpose. I swallowed hard. Only one thought was in my head. We never should have been here. We never should have asked questions. Never should have bought anything. Never should have broken rules we didn't even understand. And that's when I realized this night, market wasn't a place for fun. It wasn't a place for entertainment. It was a waiting place, waiting for foolish people like us who came out of curiosity and forgot that not everything that looks busy is safe. In the distance, I saw the market's entrance gate. Its light was still on, small, far away, but it was the only exit I could see. I pulled Dimas's arm as hard as I could. "We run," I said quietly. And the moment I spoke those words, all the lights went out at once, leaving only darkness and the sound of people's breathing growing closer around us. We ran. No warning, no plan. My feet moved faster than my thoughts. My breath caught, my chest burned, my throat ached. The night market lights went out one by one behind us, like a giant hand was turning them off on purpose. With each light that died, the air grew darker, tighter, as if the world was shrinking down to just the narrow path in front of me. I heard Dimas shouting my name. At first, close, very close. Then his voice grew farther away, not because I was running faster, but because it seemed to be pulled back, swallowed by the noise that had turned to silence. "Rack!" He yelled again, this time more broken, weaker. I dared to look back. Dimas wasn't running anymore. He stood stiff in the middle of the road, his body leaning slightly back. Two vendors stood on either side of him, holding his arms. Their faces still smiled wide, but now the smile looked twisted, like a mask forced on for too long. Dimas's mouth was open. I could see his jaw shaking, but no sound came out. No shouts, no tears, as if his voice had been taken first. "Dim!" he yelled. I tried to turn around, but my foot tripped over something. I fell hard to the ground. My palms stung, my knees hurt. The smell of damp earth filled my nose at once. When I looked up, the world around me had changed drastically. The night market was frozen. No one was moving. Vendors, visitors, rides, all still. The last light flickered weakly in the distance. In front of me stood an old man. I didn't know where he'd come from. There had been no one there a moment ago. He was standing so close I could smell the scent of camphor from his clothes. His face was wrinkled, but his eyes were sharp, not empty like the other vendors. His eyes were alive, aware. "You're still alive," he said quietly. His voice was calm to calm for this moment. I swallowed, trying to speak, but only ragged breaths came out. "That means you can still go home," he continued. He lifted his hand slowly and pointed toward the market gate. From where I sat, it looked so close, just a few meters away. Its light was still on a yellow glow that trembled softly, like a candle in the wind. "But remember," the old man said again. His tone grew heavier. "Don't bring anything from here." I nodded quickly, even though my mind hadn't fully processed his words. I tried to stand up, and that's when I realized my hand was still gripping the drink bottle from the cart. Cold, heavy, like something was throbbing inside it. My hand shook violently. I stared at the bottle. The liquid looked cloudier now, like it was mixed with shadows. Without thinking twice, I threw it to the ground. The moment the bottle hit the earth, a loud cracking sound echoed. Not the sound of breaking glass, more like the sound of a bone snapping. In an instant, the bottle changed shape. The liquid disappeared. All that was left on the ground was a human bone, pale yellow, with old fracture marks still visible. I let out a short scream and backed away a few steps. "Now, run," the old man said. I didn't wait. I ran as fast as I could toward the gate. My lungs felt like they were on fire, but I didn't dare stop. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Many. Too many. The sound of cloth dragging, feet scraping the ground, heavy breathing that wasn't from living people. I didn't look back again. The moment my foot crossed the gate's threshold, everything stopped. The light went out. The sounds vanished. The world was cut off abruptly. I fell forward, my body rolling on the hard earth. When I stood up and turned around, the field was empty. No night market, no lights, no Ferris wheel, no vendors, only an empty field near the rice paddies. Dark, silent, as if nothing had ever happened. I sat there for a long time, shaking, crying, silently. My phone's clock was working again. Signal had returned. The time showed 3:12 a.m. It was as if I'd only been there a few hours, but it felt like a lifetime. I walked home with shaking feet. Mom was waiting in the living room. The moment she saw my face, she started crying and hugged me tight. I couldn't bring myself to tell her anything that night. I only slept with my body trembling, haunted by non-stop nightmares. The next morning, as soon as the sun rose, I went straight to Dimas's house. I was sure Hidi made it home first. He must have escaped that place. But his house was quiet. His mom was sitting on the porch, her face pale. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears at once. "Raka," she said quietly, "do you know where Dimas is?" I couldn't answer. My throat was tight. I only shook my head. We searched for Dimas all day. His friends' houses, the rice fields, the river, even the field where the night market had appeared. Nothing. No sign that Dimas had ever been there. That afternoon, I went back to the field. Alone, my feet shook as I walked, and that's where I saw it. A new stall stood in the middle of the field. Small, its wood looked newer than the others from the night before. Hanging behind it was a single black and white photo. A photo of a young man. His face was exactly done. His smile was stiff. His eyes were empty. Under the photo was a date. This year. I fell to the ground. My chest felt tight. Tears streamed down my face, one by one. Since that day, my life has never been truly normal. Every Jumad Kliwon night, I wake up for no reason. My heart races, my ears ring. From far away, whether from the field or from inside my own head, I always hear that voice. Soft, hoarse, familiar. Rack. Stay with me and sell. I cover my ears, pull the blanket over my head, but the voice never really goes away. Because I know the night market isn't gone. It's just waiting. Waiting another year, waiting for the next curious people, and waiting for me, one day, to come back. If this story gave you chills, don't just think of it as entertainment. Out there are still many places we're better off not visiting, and rules that are safer not to break. Thank you for listening until the end. If you have a strange experience, a weird dream, or a story you've never told anyone before, write it in the comments section. Don't forget to like if you still had the courage to watch until the end. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story, and turn on notifications because maybe the next story is closer than you think. See you in the next story. And remember, if a place feels like it's calling you, it doesn't always want you to come back.